So many of us practice our civic duty of voting. Have you thought about the history of Election Day? We're going to dig into that, and it's pretty fun stuff coming up next. Well, we're going to shift gears a little bit here as you vote today. I want you to think about the history of voting in our country, our most foundational right. It also has some fun associated with it as a day that used to mean a lot of drinking, apparently. Who knew? Today on Election Day, let's learn more about the Swilling the Planters with Bumbo in George Washington's America with celebrity historian Raffi Andonian. Welcome back, my friend.
Well, thank you, and I even brought the Bumbo.
I feel like, yeah, you did, because my sinuses have cleared out since I've been sitting close to this bowl of this concoction here. Here's the first question on Raffi's list here. Are you ready for this? So, how much alcohol did George Washington serve when campaigning?
Well, let's contextualize. It was seen as bad, as looked down upon, to do electioneering. So one founding father said we still had to make ourselves familiar with the people. So you would do what's called treating. Treating is providing food and drink, and one term for it was swilling the planters with Bumbo, which is a rum punch. So you're rinsing yourself with a rum punch. That's what that's referring to. Okay. So when George Washington did it, first time he ran, now he was not president. This is young George Washington. He first time he ran, he thought he lost because he didn't serve enough alcohol. So second time he ran, you ready for this? For 391 voters, he served 160 gallons of liquor on the day of the election. That's almost a half a gallon per voter.
They were hammered. They were hammered.
So look, here's what's interesting though. When you have some of this, it's really strong, okay?
Okay.
And when you do this, though, you want to make sure you don't look like you're bribing votes, because remember, that's looked down upon.
Right.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to make sure that we invite, for example, Matt and Laura along as well, not just you, because I don't want it to look like it's only for my friends.
For the rest of us.
That's true. But you want to make sure you bring people of all political stripes, which is something that is very different to us today, to the party, so that it doesn't look like you're doing it just for votes. You're just treating friends. That's what you're doing, and you just happen to be asking for some of their votes. James Madison, who would later be the father of the Constitution as a young man, when he was running for legislature, he said, I'm going to try to get this out of here. This has a corrupting influence on our situation here. And he failed. He said it was too deeply rooted. It failed. That measure failed. Really? So we continue for a century doing this sort of thing.
Wow. You done talking? Can we drink?
Let's have a sip. Right. Cheers to Election Day.
My vote, pal. Anytime you bring cookies and booze.
They would serve the cookies next to it. This is ginger cakes is what they're called. I think it goes well with the whiskey, actually, if you have a nibble. Or not the whiskey, the rum.
Yeah. So in the voting booth, the whiskey played a big role.
So in the George Washington era, it's the Bumbo with the rum, right? That's a rum period. But what happens is over the course of the...
We had a rum period?
That's right. Sugar was a big deal. But over the course of the next couple of generations, by the mid-19th century, it starts to change because the way of voting changes. Whereas in George Washington's day, you would go to the courthouse, and you would do a voice vote, announcing your vote right in front of the candidates who had to be present.
Really?
And George Washington or the candidate would get up and bow and thank you for the vote. Very different by the mid-19th century. You have what's called a party ticket. We still use that term today. You take that ballot from the party newspaper or the local party, and then you go and you stuff it into the ballot box. Well, where's the ballot box?
Yeah.
They were in places like saloons, private homes, sometimes a courthouse.
Brilliant.
Well, here's what's funny.
Absolutely brilliant.
There's a window that you had to go up and put your ballot into. Well, A, you had to go stand on that platform right in front of everyone, and the mob is going to look at you. And B, along the way, you have to get through that mob, and they're going to be wanting your vote. And they're going to give you shots of whiskey. They're going to promise your family jobs. They're going to give you money for shoes for your kids.
Me?
This
Really?
is all in the 19th century. And remember, it's not a secret ballot. They know what ballot you're putting in that box.
Oh, they do.
So in the 19th century, no, you're not calling it out, but you have a party ticket. They would hand you the party ballot and say, go put this in the box.
Raffi, thank you so much. I don't know where the cookies come into the deal, but it doesn't really matter
With the
at
rum.
this point. With the rum. That's an amazing story.
But that's
Maybe
why
things aren't as bad as they seem right now. We're going to post this. Although I will say this very quickly. When I was a kid, when I owned a restaurant years and years ago, they used to close the bars on voting day.
Exactly.
And that's when the bartenders would go out and have parties.
That's one of the reforms that happened in the late 19th, early 20th century, among other things, including campaigners gathering around the voting booth. We still have those laws in place. It's because of this kind of intimidation that took place.
All right, we're going to post this segment following the show at KMOV.com/great day. Tell your friends.
I would say, guys, thank you.